Solo Leveling by Gong. Chapter 27 Part 1 The 10th S-Rank Hunter. 10 minutes earlier, outside the Hunters Association, panicked at his inability to get an earlier rank evaluation slot, Min-sung dropped a bombshell. I, Min-sung Lee, will retire from acting and serve you as a hunter regardless of the evaluation result. This was a Hail Mary pass to try to get the press conference that had fizzled out on the heels of President Go's appearance going again. It was an effective gambit. What? Min-sung is going to retire? No matter what his rank is. The press conference was back on track. Koshak, Koshak, Koshak. Countless cameras were trained on Min-sung as excited reporters hit him with a barrage of questions. Min-sung, over here. Are you saying you'll turn your back on your standing as Asia's superstar even if you're a low-level hunter? Can you give up all you've worked for as an actor? Awesome. Min-sung was thrilled that everyone was paying attention to him again. Even if I get a low rank, I will battle magic beasts to repay all the love you've given me up to now. Of course, that was a big fat lie. He was contracted for exactly 2 years. He was going to help the Reapers promote their guild for 2 years while being paid a handsome annual salary. Additionally, this was the best way to make certain small controversies went away, like his father pulling strings to get him out of the mandatory Korean military service, sacrificing his superstar status to protect people's lives. Talk about a golden opportunity to become immune from criticism. Min-sung continued the press conference, excited that everything was going his way. Guild Master Taijia Lim, the president of the Reapers Guild, shares my conviction that, as the reporters hung on his every word. Ring, ring, ring. A cell phone rang. The reporters around the ringing device shot dirty looks at its owner, who quickly turned it off and bowed profusely in apology. The press conference had been interrupted but, thankfully, hadn't been brought to a halt. Min-sung pretended not to have heard anything and pressed on. Then another person's phone rang. Oh, come on! Whose cell is that? Silence your phone during a press conference. It's common sense. Please turn it off already. Min-sung smiled and took the opportunity to look good in front of the press. That's okay. Maybe we should all take a call before continuing? Ha 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 ha. Everyone laughed at his quick wit. Who could have foreseen that this was only just the beginning? VRRR, VRRR. VRR, VRR, VRR. Phones started going off everywhere. What? What, me too? The reporters who'd hastily turned off their phones earlier realized something strange was going on and checked their messages. An alert from the association? Why didn't anyone say so before? The reporters scrambled to check the association's website. The new S-Rank Hunter's picture and name had been posted as if it had been scheduled in advance. Today was the day Jinwoo's evaluation was to be announced. Wait, didn't they say no one could use the evaluation room this morning? It wasn't for Min-sung then? The association cleared Building B for that S-Rank Hunter? The face of a certain man popped into the reporters' minds in that instance. Could it be? It had to be the guy who'd followed President Go inside the association. That man was the only one who'd used the evaluation room today. Would they be able to get a picture of him if they followed him in now? Hello. The reporters had eyes like starving beasts as they ignored Min-sung and stampeded toward the building. Jinchul gave a signal, and the surveillance team hunters spread their arms to form a barricade. Let us in! We heard there's a new S-Rank. Why weren't we informed in advance? Please get out of our way! The civilian reporters aggressively tried in vain to get past the surveillance team hunters. WH what? Left out in the cold, Min-sung dashed to his manager, who'd been checking his phone. He held it up for Min-sung to see. S rank? Min-sung was dazed. An S rank had to emerge today of all days? He'd wanted to capture everyone's attention by becoming an A rank hunter, but this S rank had come out of nowhere and ruined everything. He shook his head. No, that can't be right. An S rank hunter wasn't like a snack from a vending machine that popped out easily once coins were entered. Did the reporters perhaps know something about this? Min-sung spotted one still on his phone as he brought up the rear of the throng. It was Sang, the newspaper reporter who'd asked for Min-sung's opinion about a headline earlier. Excuse me, Reporter Lim. Lim only gave Min-sung a passing glance despite the urgency in Min-sung's voice. Oh, Min-sung, I'll get back to you later. What? Reporter Lim, Reporter Lim. Min-sung could hear the reporter's conversation as he drew farther and farther away. That's right. The headline for tomorrow should be, The Tearful E. Rank becomes joyful S rank. Min-sung's eyes darted around hopelessly. He was all alone. He fell to a heap on the ground. What the hell is this? As he feebly muttered to himself, the door of the association swung open to reveal the 10th S-rank hunter of Korea. Koshak, 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 Koshak. Jinwoo's eyes widened in surprise. What the hell is going on? Jinwoo's full portrait shot was caught on camera, as well as the vexed look and wry smile on Yunho's and Jongin's faces, respectively. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. It was lunchtime for the excavation team as they wrapped up the morning's work. They were sitting together and eating lunch. Although mining was their main duty, they were rather carefree, as they didn't have to worry about cave-ins or collapses. Some hunters laid down for a rest after inhaling their lunch, while others chatted on their phones, and some enjoyed sharing a drink over snacks. Huh? One of the hunters on their cell phone sat straight up in shock. Isn't this Sung? This got Seonggu's attention. Oh, it is. Sung is on the news? Seonggu wasn't hearing things. I knew it. Seonggu's face was red from the 3 glasses he drunk with his lunch. He ran to where his colleagues were gathered. His mouth wouldn't stop moving. I knew it from the moment that bastard glared at me. Let me see what horrible thing he's done. Maybe he'd said that a little too loudly. Sung did what? Did Sung commit a crime? The excavation hunters nearby, including the foreman, all rushed over. Jinwoo's face filled the cell phone screen, and the scrolling caption beneath it read, Jinwoo Sung, the 10th S-rank hunter after Dong-soo Hwang and Hain Cha, has just... What? Seonggu's eyes twitched as soon as he saw Jinwoo's picture. Outside the chairman's office at Eugene Construction, Jinho stood at the door and exhaled. Huh! Click. He cautiously opened the door to find his father inside. Chairman, you didn't bother looking up from the document he was reading. Come in. He signed the papers as he spoke. Jinho stood right next to his father, who briefly checked that it was his son. Father hasn't changed. In the past, Jinho would have been intimidated by his father's attitude and run away, but things were different now. I have something I'd like to say to you. Is this about Hunter Sung? Yes. Chairman, you finally looked up. Good. How did? At that moment, the chairman's phone vibrated. VRR, VRR, VRR. Hold on. He raised his hand to stop Jinho. Chairman Yu's eyes grew bigger as he read the message. Something can actually take the old man by surprise? Jinho cocked his head. You need to see this. Excuse me? Instead of replying, his father hastily grabbed a remote to turn on the huge TV mounted on the wall. Breaking news came on the screen. Yes, it's just been confirmed. The hunter who has received an S rank today is a reawakened being who used to be an E rank hunter working under the association. His name is Jin Woo-sung. The reporter's excited voice matched the energy of the people on the screen. Jinho nearly jumped out of his own skin when he heard Jinwoo's name being mentioned. Whoa! Then the image on the screen changed. A person Jinho knew very well was staring coolly ahead. It was the boss. He's definitely miffed right now. Since they had been working together for some time now, Jinho could sense how his boss was feeling at that moment despite his blank expression. But never mind that. The boss was an S rank? Jinho had known how awesome Jinwoo was, but this exceeded all his expectations. At the same time, did he train in dungeons every day despite having all this power? Jinho was overwhelmed with respect for Jinwoo. Having worked alongside him, Jinho felt his heart fill with pride each time the reporter uttered Jinwoo's name. Blip. Jinho pouted when the boss's face disappeared as the TV was turned off. Continue. His father meant for him to continue what he'd come here to say. I'm sorry, father. I couldn't change the boss's mind. Chairman Yu stiffened. I see. What was Hunter Sung's reason for rejecting our offer? The thing is, Jinho hesitated, then peeked at his father. He told me he was going to form his own guild and offered me the vice presidential position. He paused, thinking his father would ignore him or get angry, but instead, his father looked stunned. Then finally, Heh. Yu silently laughed. Chairman Yu, well known for his poker face, had shown emotion in front of his son. Why is he laughing? Jinho didn't dare ask, so he just averted his eyes. Yu finally stopped laughing and asked, Do you know why I want to form Eugene Guild? Isn't it because there's good money to be made? No, Chairman Yu said firmly. I already have plenty of money to burn. Do you think I'd work on something that would cause trouble with large guilds just to make money? So it wasn't about the profit? Jinho blinked. Then why? Chairman Yu quietly set down his pen. To protect us. The grave look on his father's face made Jinho swallow hard. The power of hunters continues to grow. It's not unheard of for one of them to wield as much power as an entire country's military force. Yu was referring to the world's strongest hunters, the aptly named national rank hunters. I've heard hunters already rule like kings in some small countries. How long do you think law and order can protect us from that scenario? His voice sounded somber, but Jinho suddenly realized that he felt happy listening to his father. Why was that? Oh, he'd said, us, which included Jinho. He was giddy he caught this glimpse of his father's love for him. Chairman Yu continued with his explanation. I want to gather reliable hunters to form a guild. I want hunters I can trust and rely on, not ones interested in money or connections. He had a little smile on his face again. It looks like you already found someone like that. Yes. Jinho responded right away. It was hard to tell what exactly his father was saying, but that at least was something about which Jinho could be certain. Yu nodded. All right. Huh? You passed. Passed what? Jinho, who'd been listening with his head down this whole time, looked up. I leave Eugene Guild to you. Sorry? Grow Eugene Guild. Recruit strong hunters you can trust and rely on. They will be more valuable to you than any kind of fortune. Chairman Yu spoke with a voice filled with confidence. Jinho's ecstasy matched his father's confidence. This may have been the first time Jinho had been validated by his father ever since birth. Thank you, father. Jinho smiled widely and gave his father a 90-degree bow. Yu regarded his son proudly but didn't expect to hear what came out of Jinho's mouth next. However, I don't think I can do that. What? Chairman Yu's eyebrow twitched. Eugene Construction's financial power could buoy Eugene Guild once it was established. They were already in talks with a few S-rank hunters. Eugene Guild was primed to become one of the most prominent guilds in Korea. Jinho had to know all this. Isn't that why he wanted to be the guild master? So why would he decline the opportunity his father had just presented him? Had he grown scared? The chairman suppressed his disappointment and anger enough to ask, "For what reason?" Jinho raised his head and cheerfully replied to his father without a moment's hesitation, "I'm going to join the boss's guild." Jin-woo was surrounded by reporters and didn't know what to do. What are these people doing in front of me instead of taking pictures of Min-sung Lee? He looked over his shoulder to see if Min-sung was perhaps standing behind him, but saw only Yunho and Jongin. Just then, his thigh began to vibrate. VRR, VRR. He fished out his phone from his pocket. Why is Gina calling me at this time of day? His sister's urgent voice came over the receiver as soon as he pressed talk. Jin-woo, you're on TV. Of course he was. Just look at how many cameras there were. Every station was probably broadcasting the same thing. Jin-woo had been worried that Gina was calling because something had come up at school, so he was relieved that wasn't the case. So what's up? What's up? What do you mean, what's up? You're reawakened? And an S rank. Gina must have gotten quite a shock, but he wasn't exactly in a position to explain everything to her at his leisure. I'm a little busy, so I'll talk to you at home. Wait, Jin-woo. He hung up on his sister despite how desperately she pleaded with him. Beep. He then discovered how he'd gotten into this mess. I've got a message. The Hunters Association sent out notifications through an app. Typically, they sent alerts about A or S rank dungeons or dungeon breaks. But this wasn't a typical day. Huh? Jin-woo read the message and quickly pulled up the association website. Sure enough, the ink on his S-rank license hadn't even dried yet, but the list of highest ranked hunters had already been updated. Ji-woo Sung, S-rank, mage class. It was written the same way it was on his hunter's license. Why can't they be this quick about everything they do? Jin-woo stuffed his cell into his pocket and looked up again. Mr. Sung, are you the same Jin-woo Sung who used to work under the association as an E rank? You're one of the rare few reawakened beings. How do you feel about this? The reporters did everything they could to keep Jin-woo's voice or face on camera a little while longer. Unfortunately, Jin-woo wasn't happy about this frenzy of attention. I should get out of here. He didn't think they'd listen if he politely asked them to let him by. He raised an eyebrow. Should he just summon his shadow soldiers to clear the way for him? Over here, Hunter Sung. Look this way, please. Hunter Sung, the entire nation is watching, so please give them a smile. As the camera lenses got closer, Jin-woo seriously debated for a brief moment about summoning Tank or Fong. Behind him, Jongin noted that Jin-woo was stuck because of the throng of reporters. He approached President Beck. It looks like my new hunter is having a hard time thanks to all this attention. Who says Hunter Sung is your new hunter? It's a joke. Can't you take a joke? They locked eyes in a staring contest again. Jongin was the first to eventually back down. He sighed and continued. Anyway, keeping Hunter Sung here any longer is just giving other guilds a shot at him. President Beck agreed. Taijia Lim, the guild master of the Reapers Guild, was already here because of Min-sung, and the other two large guilds would soon be frantically trying to get in touch with Jin-woo. Beck glanced at the reporters. So what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we escort Hunter Sung home before the other sharks smell the blood in the water. We can also use the time to talk to him. Zhang was suggesting they team up to keep other rivals away from Jin Wu. Regardless of how powerful Jin Wu may be, he'd need to join a guild to tackle high-rank dungeons. So if they played their cards right, an S-rank hunter would be joining either White Tiger or the Hunters today. Zhang, as the leader of the Hunters, was confident in his guild. Fine. It wasn't a bad proposal for Yunho, either. White Tiger wasn't as big as the Hunters, but they had plenty of potential for growth. Not to mention, our manager and Jin Wu have known each other for quite some time. He was certain his guild had a better relationship with Jin Wu. Having reached a ceasefire, they eyed each other warily as they headed toward Jin Wu. President Beck was quick to call out to him. Hunter-san! Jin Wu turned back to look at him. Yes! Zhang was a little frustrated that Yunho had taken the lead, but in the interest of cooperation, he didn't interrupt. President Beck pasted on his most winsome smile. Having trouble with all these reporters? Please come with us, and we'll escort you home. We're experts in dealing with this sort of thing. His words were a little exaggerated, but they weren't empty by any means. Not only had the two guild masters experienced the same thing as S ranks, but running large guilds had also taught them how to handle the attention. Zhang joined in. Yes, come with us, please. We have something we'd like to discuss with you on the way. Jin Wu declined their kind offer with a polite smile. That's okay. He pulled the hood of his sweatshirt over his head. I have somewhere else to be. Pardon? How do you expect to get out of here with all these Zhang didn't get to finish his sentence. Hup! Jin Wu swiftly turned to go and launched himself several meters over the reporters' heads, landing safely outside the swarm. What the? Before the flustered reporters could react, Jin Wu disappeared into the crowd of people on the street. Zhang was at a loss for words. Even an S rank like himself had barely had time to react, so it was a lost cause for the reporters, all of whom were average civilians. Zhang laughed in spite of himself. He was just registered as an S rank, and he's already playing Superman. For Jin Wu to hold that kind of physical prowess as a mage hunter. As a fellow mage, Zhang had to admit he was a bit jealous. So then what was the reaction of a brawler? Just now Zhang turned to discuss what they'd witnessed with Yunho, but recoiled at what he saw. Beck? Your eyes! In his shock, he forgot to address President Beck by his full title. Oh, sorry about that. Yunho covered his eyes with one hand and turned away. After a beat, he reopened them, and his pupils had gone from a beast to a regular human's. He was still rattled, though. How is that? He was trembling. When Jin Wu had focused energy in his legs to jump just now, for a short instant, his hidden magic power was exposed. Normally, it'd be nearly impossible for even high-level hunters to detect, but President Beck instinctively used his ability, Eyes of a Beast, to get a sense of Jin Wu's power level. He's powerful. He'd already known that Jin Wu was strong. However, that's not the issue though. Back at the Red Gate, he'd unintentionally activated Eyes of a Beast during a confrontation with Jin Wu, so Yunho had a frame of reference for Jin Wu's power level back then as well. The other man had certainly been strong. So much so that Yunho hadn't thought he'd win a fight against Jin Wu without losing an arm or two. And there it was. Jin Wu was the type of opponent Yunho couldn't hope to defeat without some kind of sacrifice. Even so, there seemed to be a difference in the level of magic power that Yunho had just sensed. Jin Wu's current level was incomparable to what he'd felt in the past. Jin Wu had somehow gotten stronger. Much stronger than before, but his reawakening had to have occurred some time ago. So how had his powers increased? An impossible theory popped into his mind. Is he able to increase his power level? Maybe instead of a second reawakening, he'd somehow trained. He was interrupted just as he was about to reach a conclusion. "Hey, President Beck, are you okay? You don't look good," Jong-in said out of concern. Yunho rubbed his face with both hands and shook his head vigorously. "I suddenly felt a little dizzy. I'm fine now. You're still young. You have to take care of yourself." As Jong-in blathered on, Yunho's eyes were fixed in the direction Jinwoo had gone. He's already far beyond a normal S rank. But if he can increase his power even more? Yunho shuddered at the thought. "Taxi!" Jinwoo successfully eluded the reporters and caught a cab on a quiet street. He clutched his S-rank hunter's license, delighted to finally have it in hand. Leveling up and raiding dungeons was great and all, but the most important thing now was curing his mother. The elixir of life. He wasn't sure if it could actually heal her. But even if there's a 1 in 1,000, or even a 1 in 10,000 chance, he wanted to clear the demon's castle and gather all the ingredients as soon as possible. In order to do that, Jinwoo needed an artifact that could protect him from the heat inside. He told the driver his destination. "The Hunter's Auction House of Korea, please." The taxi driver glanced at Jinwoo through the rearview mirror and smiled. "Going there to sell something good? I hear they deal in items worth at least several million won." Jinwoo gave a tight-lipped smile. Gulp. His silence made the driver nervous. His passenger was going to the auction house, so he had to be a hunter, and one had to be extra careful when dealing with those. Many hunters were as eccentric as they were powerful, and they weren't people who should be crossed. This young man doesn't look like trouble, but better safe than sorry. The driver read Jinwoo's mood and shut his mouth, so it was quiet inside the taxi. Jinwoo used the time to check the web. Social media, the blogosphere, and every single news site was abuzz about the new S-rank hunter. Until this morning, Ms. Sung-Lee had been the most widely searched topic on the internet, but now his name wasn't even in the top 10. TSK. Jinwoo clicked his tongue. I wasn't expecting this much attention. He knew people would be interested in him, but he didn't think it'd cause this much of an uproar. Thinking about it, though, there had only been exactly 10 of them to ever appear in Korea. With 1 dead and 1 overseas, there were just 8 other S ranks in the entire country. So how could he not be trending? But why had the media been so quiet in Hane's case? He thought he'd maybe catch a break, since Hane, the 9th S-rank hunter, hadn't received that much media attention. He did some digging, and found she'd requested the association keep her information classified after she'd been confirmed as an S rank. If I'd done the same, the media or guilds wouldn't have found out about me. Why hadn't President Go told Jinwoo about this convenient option? Ah, that's right. Jinwoo remembered the question President Go had posed while the two walked to the evaluation room together. "Do you have a guild in mind?" "No, not yet." Had this been why he'd asked? President Go might not have mentioned it so guilds could access him. Well then, Jinwoo sent in an online application to have his information classified, and then called the auction house. Click. "This is the Hunter's Auction House of Korea. I'd like to get an artifact appraised. I'm already on my way, if that's okay." "Of course, sir." "What kind of artifact would you like appraised?" "It's a sphere that amplifies the effect of magic." "Ah, a magic sphere with an amplification effect. It sounds like you've already had it appraised elsewhere, if you're aware of what it can do." "Yes, but they weren't a credible source, so I would like an auction house appraisal." "Uh-huh. You've made the right choice. We are known to be the best in the business." The conversation paused for a moment as the person on the other end took down some notes. How much was the amplification effect based on the last appraisal? 100%. Pardon? The sphere amplifies magic by 100%. There was another pause. I'm sorry, sir, but are you a hunter? Yes. We require your personal information for the official appraisal process. May I have your rank and name, please? The ends of Jinwoo's lips curled up. I knew it. If he'd tried to sell this item as an E-rank hunter, would the hunter's auction house have even bothered hearing him out? It was precisely for this reason that Jinwoo had gone through with a reevaluation. He answered coolly, S rank. Jinwoo sung.